Albuquerque City Councilor Nicole Rogers, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we're nearly 2 months into your first year as a city councilor for Albuquerque. How have those first couple of months gone, and what concerns have you heard from your constituents, both in your campaign and since you've taken office?
Sure, yes, thank you. 2 months, it feels like I've been here a lot longer, which is a good thing. And I think the biggest deadline for us was our capital request for the legislature with the session that just came in. So I promised to hit the ground running, and we really hit the ground running. Right after the runoff election, December 12th, after Christmas, I went right into the office to start getting a handle on where we were in our district, asking the departments to give me a list of everything that's happened as far as projects, in whether it's parks, roads, streets, housing, whatever projects are slated for our district. Give me a list of those. How much funding do we already have? How much funding do we need to be able to finish these projects? So I can make some really good, thoughtful requests to our legislature. And so met the deadline by January 11th, got sworn in January 2nd, and really just have hit the ground running, making sure I get back to the neighborhood associations to begin to set our direction for where we want to go in the next 4 years. Some of the things I heard, I think they really haven't changed from the campaign to now, which is homelessness and housing, public safety, still a big concern for especially my district. And poverty is really the other one that I've been focusing on, not just in the election, but now just trying to get a handle on what the city is doing for poverty, which is not too much. So we have a lot of work to do, especially because District 6, all of the poverty for Bernalillo County is really centered in District 6. So we have to think about that as well.
Now, those things that you just mentioned, is there something specific among them that inspired you to run in the first place, that you wanted to get accomplished?
Yeah, for me, I really wanted to align the community voice with the city's priorities. Having worked in the city the last couple of years, and being a community activist and really doing community work, I often saw those priorities not aligning. And I really didn't see representation for me. And so that's really what inspired me to just say, why not me? And so I jumped in the race late, last candidate to get in the race. We had 6 to start and 4 ended up on the ballot and then had to do a runoff. So, yeah.
Now, speaking of that representation, what does it mean to you to be the first Black woman serving on Albuquerque City Council?
I feel the weight of the responsibility, I think, is the first thing that comes to mind. It's sad that it's taken this long. But I really, during the campaign, didn't push that up as much as I think most people wanted me to, because I really wanted people to choose me because I'm smart, I have experience, lived experience and professional experience that could really help us align more of the city's priorities with the community's priorities. So I jumped in, and I'm excited that I did, and it was a lot, but I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm sure it is hard to balance those things. And have you heard from Black residents in your district, but across the whole city too, about what it's like for them to see themselves represented on the council?
Yeah, I think that was the most overwhelming moment, I think, during the swearing in, to see how many community members came to see me get sworn in. People commenting that they had the same feelings that they felt when they watched Obama get into office, which was like, whoa, can't even fathom that for myself. But representation matters. It really, really does. And so to be in the line of greats like, Dr. Len Mallory and others that have been the first in our state, it's really an honor, but I really am weighed down by just wanting to do a good job. Yeah, that is
Certainly.
the biggest thing, yeah.
Now, earlier this month, you and Councilor Renee Grout sponsored a bill to create a working group to reimagine the city's motel voucher program. How exactly does that program work now, and what problems do you see that you were hoping to address with this?
Sure. I think right now we don't. We have motel vouchers that are for emergency situations for individuals or families who are experiencing some trauma. So DV, domestic violence kind of situations, unsheltered folks who are having a gap. And so that's typically what most of our hotel vouchers are used for. But what I don't see is more collaboration amongst not only just city departments, but also the hoteliers that are accepting those vouchers, making sure that we're taking their needs into consideration when we're housing folks that are in trauma. It could potentially, cause some issues for some of the hoteliers. So we really want to bring a team together of folks with lived experience who've used the voucher system, people who've administered vouchers, and hoteliers who can come together and really talk about how to make that a better process for folks so that we can maximize the dollars that we have for that, which is quite a bit. I mean, we have, I want to say, over 5 million for motel vouchers. So we want to make sure that we're using them in the right way to help people over the gap, but also taking into account, the things that our hoteliers are having to deal with too. So, yeah.
Now, homelessness, of course, is a significant issue that we've been dealing with that program ties into a bit too. Last month, you talked about a request that you made to the city attorney for a script for city employees when dealing with homeless encampments on city property. Have you received that script yet?
Yes, we did. It took about 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks after and it's actually, it was a script they mentioned that had already existed. So it was more like, well, just give me, what I was asking for was really a process, a written process of how we're responding. That's not just for staff, but also so community knows the expectations, especially when we're talking about where people can camp with our encampments. And so for me, it's about knowing that we have an actual defined process that all of our departments are following. And I think that line of questioning led us there. I don't think we had it before. And so I think the bottom line is I want to see a more humane, dignified response to how we deal with our unsheltered folks. The bottom line is we don't have a lot of folks for people to go if they do not want to be in a shelter. And that's what we need to work on is the whole continuum, meeting people where they are, getting them stable to be able to be housed, I think is what we're missing. And so, yes, I did get that information, reviewing over just what the process is, how many departments are involved in that process. It's hard to align with 5 different departments doing the same kind of work. So I'm excited that we're moving towards a more defined process.
Okay. So are you satisfied with the script itself, and is there a place that the public can see it?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought about getting it online. I will absolutely do that. I'm just kind of reading for myself and like trying to understand. I think for the scripting for myself, I don't personally think it's enough. Lauren Keefe, our city attorney, talked about things like getting people storage bins so that we can store their things so they don't lose their precious belongings like driver's licenses, birth certificates, things like that. I didn't see that in the script, so I don't feel confident that we're actually doing that. So I think we need to flesh out a couple of those details first, and then I would absolutely love to get that out to community, because then we all know what to expect.
How does it fit with the injunction that the city's facing right now, too, tied to the lawsuit after the clearing of Coronado Park?
Yeah, I know we were waiting on more clarification of what the judge meant from as far as you need a place for them to go before you clear them. And I felt pretty clear about what that meant. It means if you're moving someone from a place, you need to have another place for them to go. And so with the injunction, that's still in place, and so we still need to respond, though, and so we just need to make sure that our response is humane and dignified, and we have an actual place to go to send people. And our capacity, I think that's the biggest thing I think public needs to know. The city's capacity is based on the contractors that we hire to do the work. And now the city pretty much has one contractor for all of homelessness. And so we have to my work is going to be focused on technical assistance of other providers to make sure that they can bid for these jobs at the city and actually help us. Because right now that's a barrier. Whereas I'm talking to a lot of our providers in our district and they just don't have the technical assistance to be able to go after the big RFPs that the city puts out for homelessness. So we have to do better at getting folks who are already doing work, who don't get city funding, access to that by technical assistance so they can help us do this work.
Now, during last fall's race, you campaigned on introducing a pilot universal basic income program to address poverty in the city. What exactly would this program look like, and have you had any progress introducing it into council?
No, we haven't introduced it yet. The great thing is we already had the groundwork laid for this. Previously in my work with cannabis equity, actually the legislation put forward that council did pass at the end of last year said we could use tax revenue from cannabis for a pilot for universal basic income. So that groundwork's already laid. Right now I'm pulling together folks, like we have at Albuquerque for guaranteed basic income that I'm going to be engaging. I'm researching what other pilots have already been done in our state so that we can put together a really good pilot for Albuquerque. What I'm looking at is doing to be smart and have some alignment with some of our other issues in the city, specifically hiring for like police, frontline, firefighters, bus drivers, is doing it for students who are enrolled at CNM in these programs. So saying, hey, like you're already doing something to further your life, your career. Let's give you a little basic income to help you get over that hump in the hopes that you come work for us after you graduate. So that's kind of what I'm floating around with community to see how that would flesh out. But I think that would be a really great way for us to do two things at the same time, where we're helping folks over the hump, but also hopefully getting some more hires into our tough to fill jobs at the city. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We're going to be having some strategy sessions around poverty and around this universal basic income all in March.
Okay.
And so those dates are already on our website. You can go to those. You can RSVP to come and help give input about that, because I don't want to come up with all this myself. I really want to be focused on community helping me decide on these plans before we move forward.
Now, I want to ask a few questions about the federal investigation into APD's DWI unit.
Sure.
Now, according to City Desk ABQ, APD's internal investigation has expanded to include 2 internal affairs officers, 1 lieutenant, within the internal affairs department. Mm-hmm. So that's 2 members of that department. That makes 7 officers under investigation overall. Now, when this story first broke a few weeks ago, you and others on the council expressed some frustration with how you found out about it. A bit of a lack of communication from the Keller administration. Since it's broken, has that communication gotten any better? Are you more satisfied as these new developments come out?
Yeah, I think all of us were shocked that we didn't at least get a courtesy call that something like this was even happening. I understand that there's an investigation happening and they can't kind of divulge all of those for the investigative purposes. But at least a heads up would have been nice, so that we're not fielding these calls like, hey, did you hear about APD? And I'm saying, what happened? And having to go look on the news to find it out. So that's just never a good way to find something out like that. We don't like being blindsided, just like the administration doesn't like being blindsided. And so I think since that's happened, we've had a lot more communication with APD regarding what's happening, and that the fact that they're going to launch an internal investigation, which our questions were, well, when you found out about this however long ago, why didn't an internal investigation start then, not when it hit the news? So I think the bottom line is we need to figure out what happened. We need to figure out processes to make sure, policies, procedures, to make sure it never happens again. And so I'm committed to working with APD and FBI to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And that means we have to look at our processes. I also am calling on the state to also, let's think about this on a bigger scale, because it's not just DWI cases. I'm also concerned with domestic violence cases and failure to appears across the whole spectrum, not just DWIs. So I would like to call for the state to put together an actual statewide database where all of the entities actually can talk to each other and not have different systems that don't talk to each other. And I think that's going to help us in a lot of areas. And I'd like to see the state work with us to do something like that. In the interim, while we have the next session next year, we can come up with a process and a plan to do that. So I am going to be calling the state to do that and working with county and city on some different programs I'm looking at, called like one that we're looking at called Unite Us. That would do that, would help us communicate across all of the systems. We did it in healthcare. I have a healthcare background. With Affordable Care Act mandated that we had electronic medical records and that we all systems had to talk to each other so that patients had what they needed. And it's the same here. We need to be able to have that information to be able to do what we need to do to keep people safe.
Now, how has this situation, in your estimation, affected public trust in police, especially in District 6, where police have a historically strained relationship with the public?
Absolutely. I think this definitely set us back. I think, and especially, doing work with trying to strengthen those relationships with the Black community and police. I think definitely the trust has been lost. I think we were making some strides, but this definitely set us back. It's just no other way to say it. It's the truth. And so now we have to be more transparent than we're used to, and we have to be open and not be afraid to be transparent about what we need to do to make things better.
Now, we'll keep an eye on that story, of course. Beyond what we've discussed already, what are your main priorities for the rest of your term as you finish up your first term, or start your first term, really?
Yeah, I think for me, the priorities are aligning the city's budget with the community's priorities. My district desperately needs affordable housing. And I want to be very specific about what I mean by affordable housing, right? Because what's affordable for me, what's affordable for you could be different. So we need to be talking about housing on the entire income spectrum. In my district, we need low-income housing, and even some parts of my district, we need other housing price points. And so for me, I really want to see what we can do in our district to actually meet that gap, not just for low income or what we call affordable, but also for folks who can afford more. Because what it is doing, if you can afford $1 million house, it's hard to find one, right? And then you're going to here, and it's kind of pushing everybody back down the line. And so I think we need housing on all spectrums. So I'm interested in working. We had some developers that purchased the 2 big tall buildings, the old bank building on San Mateo and Central, for housing. They want to do market rate and affordable. So I'm excited to see about that. We have food insecurities that we need to tackle right away. So I'm looking at what's happening with Walmart. Can we buy Walmart that closed? We're looking at the Walgreens across the street to see if we can purchase that, to try to get some fresh food there as soon as possible, either with our farmers through a farmers market that they can be at all week, not just on the weekends, because our farmers are still saying they have a lot of waste. And so let's fix that and get some food there immediately. So food desert, housing, public safety is a really big one, and encampments in my district. We have to have a stability site, and we don't. I mean, Gateway's supposed to be that. But again, if we only have one contractor who's handling all of homelessness for the city of Albuquerque, that's why we can't do more at the Gateway, because that particular contractor can't handle anymore. And so we have to do, as I'm really focused on who else in the community can help do this work, and how can I get some technical assistance to them to be able to just respond to those requests that we have for help. Especially with homelessness. So I really want to say to our community too, that we need everyone to come to the table to come up with a solution that we don't all have to agree on, but let's talk about consensus, right? Like, I don't love it, but I can live with it, because we have some tough things facing our community and we have to work together. And a stability site is something we really need, and here, especially in District 6.
City Councilor Nicole Rogers, thank you so much for your time and for being here on New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you so much.